folks to get here, or just start diving in?
I think it's a good time to just start, and as they roll in, they roll in.
Amazing. Well, thank you so much for having me. Super excited to be here today and dive in together to talk about Snorkl. If you have not heard about Snorkl, that is totally okay. We are a multimodal tool for students giving instant feedback, and I'll go over what that looks like. And if you have heard of Snorkl, would love to hear how it's went for you in chat as well, or there'll be a couple of times to come off of mute if you prefer to do that too. So just a little bit about me. Who is this person in front of us today? My name is Monique. I was in the classroom for about 10 years. I taught middle school math and science, a little bit of elementary school, and then I was a tech coach before coming here over to Snorkl. And our agenda today is basically the why, the what, the how of Snorkl, and we'll have time for Q&A at the end. We'll get in there a little bit and hopefully leave today with an actionable item that you can move using forward in your class sometime next week. So the why. Why do we have Snorkl? What does Snorkl come from? So really the heart of Snorkl is to celebrate students' thinking and empower teachers and students alike. And what we know as educators is that feedback really drives that thinking and that instruction here. So we're really looking to move beyond fill in the blank, beyond short answer, but like, how did you get to your answer here? What is your problem solving process? What is your thinking path along the way? And how does that help inform instruction for us as teachers as well? And we know that our students, they have brilliance. We want to celebrate that. And sometimes it stays in their mind, and we'd love if we could hear it out loud for them. And we know when students are explaining themselves that they are more likely to internalize what they're saying, but also to catch those mistakes. I know in my experience, I've been up at the board and I'm doing the math right on the board. I'm like, oh, actually, mid-sentence, you can go back and correct that while it's happening. And this gives our students an opportunity to do that as well. As teachers, we know it is not possible to listen and give really personalized feedback to every student every day. And if you can, totally more power to you. In my experience, it was very challenging. I had a 6-grade math class, and I said, okay, this is great. I'm going to sit down with every student, and I'm going to listen to the difference for them between, if they know the difference between volume and surface area, and I'll guide them through that process if they have any questions along the way. And then the bell rang, and I realized that I had only spoken with about 5 students, and I had the whole class to get through at that point. And all of them deserve to have an opportunity to explain their thinking to me. It was just, how are we going to do that? And that was before Snorkl, and now meet Snorkl. We are here today. So what is Snorkl? We allow for students to answer questions in multiple different ways. So multimodal is just like different ways that they can answer it. They can do so verbally. They can do so on a piece of paper and hold it up and take a picture. They could write on it. Oh, look at that. Amazing. My fireworks in the background here. Or they can go ahead and write on the screen and get feedback that way. Or they can type. We have a rich text editor as well for our ELA social studies science CER type of questions here. And on the teacher end, so we love giving students great tools, but we also really love being able to make those actionable for teachers as well. And teachers can get instant insights into performance across the class. The AI is going to analyze trends and errors. And thank you, David. Yeah, so they can use any of those modes to answer. They can even just talk. So going back and we'll see like, what does that look like here? And then what really makes Snorkl special for students is after they're giving this really nice, great explanation, or maybe it's something that they still need a little bit of work on, they are getting practice at explaining in any language that works for them, and they can try again, and they're really going to get personalized feedback into what they said, not just, oh, look at this page in your book and try to figure out where the answer is, but like, oh, I noticed you said this, let's think about it in XYZ way. On the teacher's end, we are getting these really rich insights into our class, see who is really rocking this right now, and then who might be like hitting right now. And we're going through and seeing like, what are these small groups of students who are really making that same common error, and how can we go ahead and drive our instruction with that. So how does Snorkl work? If we had to break it down to like 3 basic steps here, teachers assign a question or a prompt, and that can be either from our library, pre-built for you, standards aligned, or you can just grab something from your own curriculum, make something up that you know that has worked for your students in the past. Students, they go ahead and they give their response and their explanation, and then AI is going to provide instant, immediate feedback based off of their whole explanation, not just a final answer, but how did you get to that answer, and what part. And we're really trying to celebrate more than just the answer, right? It's not just, oh, you got it, move on, but like, what parts did you do really well? What parts can we be a little bit more thorough with, and how can we use that moving forward? So we are going to dive in. I'm going to show you the student side of this. We are going to have a chance to try this as a student. And then we're going to take a look at the teacher side and create an activity and see like, what are we going to leave with today that's going to help our students maybe on Monday. So teachers are going to give students, you would give your students a link, and I'll go over how to do that. But on the student end, this is student Monique. I opened this maybe from Google Classroom or from my LMS or email or however you like to share links with students. And they can go directly to the activity that has been assigned. Most students, we find, just click on start response. In my experience, reading directions is something we always worked on. So everything that is in our Snorkl library that has directions is also just on that whiteboard for students here. Again, this is the student side. If they forget what those instructions are, they're still up there. And if they need this whiteboard read aloud to them, they can go ahead and click on that as well. Now, students have a couple of different ways that they can answer this. And it might be up to the student, it might be up to you and how the class is structured, but I just want to go over those different ways. So students can do all of their work on the whiteboard first, and then click that record screen, because really the richest part here is going to be, can they give that verbal explanation? They can also do their explanation. Or maybe you are in class and they've already done all of their work in their notebook and they want to come over here and they just want to take a picture of their notebook. They can do that too by clicking on this image button, and then they can click on camera and we are going to get a great image here. So the little sometimes are like super excited with it, and then sometimes our high schoolers are like, so we can do that as well. Or maybe they want to just do it all at once. So those are the 3 ways. To upload an image and explain it, write it while you're explaining it, or write it first and then explain it. And that's for this whiteboard recording. And we'll go over a couple other types of response types that we have too. For the sake of time, I'm going to do it at the same time. You will see me make a mistake, and then we'll look at what does the AI look like when there is a mistake in the process. So maybe our students were like just missing the cusp a little bit here. I'm going to go ahead and click on start record screen and voice. And I'm going to read my problem here. So it looks like we have a rectangular frame for this quadrilateral. So I'm going to create a rectangle, and I know that one side is 29. So that means that the other side is also going to be 29. I'm going to add 29 plus 29. And when I do that, I get 58. That's the total between these two here, but I have a total perimeter of 146, so I want to do 146 minus 58, and I will get 92. We'll call it. There's a mistake there for our friends who are teachers here who are maybe not math folks. You're like, oh my gosh, what is the mistake? We'll see if the AI will catch it for us. I can re-watch what I'm doing. A lot of times students are just like, I'm going to submit, get my feedback, and go from there. So the AI is going to analyze what I wrote on the screen and what I said out loud. It's going to give me a couple of different pieces of feedback here. I will see a score out of 4. 0 and 1 is not yet. 2 fair, 3 strong, and 4 excellent. And then it'll tell me if I'm correct or incorrect. as well as 2 to 3 pieces of time-stamped personalized feedback to my response. So here, it looks on my end. Can you see? Okay, good. I'll zoom in here. I am incorrect, but my explanation score is 2 out of 4. So I have some understanding of this problem. And so let's see what our AI said here. I can, if I am in this window here, if I click on this, it'll jump me to that timestamp here. We see this little red dot. So always starting with something positive. So something positive, and then how can we address a challenge from there? So this can also be read aloud to students. If we have students who prefer feedback read aloud, that is an
Great
option
job
as well.
recognizing that a rectangle has two.
Great. And then we can also see that we have a space for feedback or a space for improvement of our feedback. So I notice you got 92. Can you double check that? And then what do you do to find just one width? So here we know that we need to double check that. And then that might not be just for one width. What we're finding is that students aren't needing to be asked again to respond. They're just like, oh, I have that feedback. I'm just going to do it because I can, because someone's right there with me in my court who's like, oh, go ahead and do this. And I like to think of it akin to my daughter's soccer team. And when the coach is working with her at practice and they're like, okay, now take your foot and turn it out a little bit because we are still towing the ball over here, that she's going to go ahead and do that because her coach was right there with her, giving her feedback on how to improve. And students are just the same way. They're looking for that feedback. They want to improve. So here we can see that students can keep their previous whiteboard. All of their work is still there, or they just want to start totally over. If they want to keep all of their work, they can just make some changes to that. That whiteboard is fully editable how they left it. So some teachers want students to keep it all and then start in a new color, or students could just start over. It's really your preference, your student's preference, what works best for them and you and their learning. In this case, I know I have to go back to check 92. So when I'm here, I can jump in and go ahead and retry this part right here. I still will give a full recording again about my understanding. So it's not just we're like spot checking errors or misconceptions here and there, but do we have a full understanding of what to do for this problem? Premium accounts do have Snorkl coach. So this is sort of like a feedback coach on the side here, where students can ask questions and it can see their whiteboard along the way, but they'll still have to end that and give a full explanation of that problem at hand or that activity here. I'm going to go ahead and go back here. One other thing I wanted to note is as the teacher, you have the ability to allow students to see each other's responses or not. Before, when we came here, I hadn't done a response yet. So if there were no classmate responses, this is automatically turned off. If you want to turn it on for your students, I'll go through that when we're on the teacher side, but it sometimes can be helpful for students to see, oh, what does an excellent or strong response look like? So you can surface the top 3 responses from the class. So students might have an example to go off of before they go back and try again. They will always have to do their own response first prior to seeing their classmates' responses. But it is an option if that's something that you'd like to explore. And it might be different class by class, period by period, activity by activity. But I do just want to point that out, that is an option. So if I'm here and I'm really confused still, I can go in and watch a classmate's response. It is anonymous. I will not know who it is unless I'm able to identify their voice. But otherwise, that might help me go through and see, oh, that's what I was supposed to do. I miscalculated this part or had a confusing part at some point, and then I can try again. I'm going to pause here because we've been going over a lot, and we are about to go into the teacher side. But before we do that, are there any questions on the student side, the student's view? You can drop them in the chat or come off mute. Okay, I just want to give enough space. But if you're like, oh, wait, she's moved on and I wasn't ready or I'm still typing, go ahead and throw it in the chat. We will get there. But I always try to be cognizant of the moment of the pause. So let's take a look at what does this look like as the teacher. So all of your students have been giving their really rich responses and they're coming in at different places. This is our class of our friends over here, and we can sort it a couple of different ways. So we can go based off of best try, which is how it's currently grouped. And we can see that Rachel over here has done 2 responses. If I click on that, I can navigate between her responses. Maybe you want to see all of them all together, and we are going to see everyone's responses laid out. It's also an option. Snorkl will go ahead and group these by students who are correct and then students who are incorrect right here. And so we can go ahead and take a look at who is missing the beat a little bit on that. And then if I scroll down, I can see who hasn't responded yet. So I can notice that there's a little bit of a difference here between this response from John and this one from Phoebe. John's shows the background of that whiteboard. That means he's opened it. Phoebe hasn't even opened this yet because hers is fully grayed out here. So just as if you're looking and you're wondering what those differences are, John's opened it because we can see that there's a little bit of the background. And you can also see like if students had done any work but haven't submitted it yet either, which is always nice to see. My favorite part is the teacher insights, and that's right at the top. So I'm looking at all of my responses. If I click on insights right here, it is going to tabulate who had a really strong understanding. And then were there any misconceptions along the way? And did any groups of students make a similar misconception? So I have another class here with the same activity. So these students had a strong understanding. I can grab those and jump into them really quick. And then what are these common misconceptions that my students are making, and which students are making those misconceptions? So that way that can help drive instruction either from period to period or going into the next day. Or maybe this was your warm up for the day and you're like, oh, yep, we are definitely addressing this in class right now. So different ways to use those small groups, but no longer are the days of having to sit there and sort your exit tickets into you got it almost and not quite. The AI will do it for you. And now you can take your time and realize where everybody is and how that can help you drive your instruction with that. Questions on how you can see your student responses here or anything like that? Okay, great. If you want to review a student so you can see all of their answers are here as well, but we can also jump in and see, okay, like what did that feedback say? So you have complete oversight into every part of Snorkl. Really make it your own, make it work for you. You can, if you agree with the AI, great. If you want to change anything, you're like, oh my gosh, I think that's more of a 3 for this student. We can go ahead and edit that, and you can change it that way. If you want to edit any part of the feedback, you can click on this little pencil right here and edit it. If you don't agree with the feedback, something was just not right. We think it is for the most part, but we all know that AI is still AI and you are the human and you know. So if you see something, say something with this rate this feedback button, and you can let us know that this is incorrect because XYZ, and then go ahead and submit that here. And we take a look at all of those as well.
But I will say, having used it not a very long time, but for 6 weeks, multiple times, when you're making a problem, it'll help you generate the rubric. And only once did I change anything on that behind the scenes room because it already made it better than I could have. Way more detailed, and it was pretty spot on, and it gave good to math. And AI messes up math all the time, but this was the one that didn't.
Thank you for that. Yes, and so a lot of times once before rating it, we like to see like, oh, is that rubric set up correctly? And if you are wanting to leave your students a piece of feedback so that they are always going to get that AI feedback, but if you want to leave them feedback from you, the teacher, you can leave a comment here and that can go to their feed over on the side. If your students are one of those students who are like, you know what, they are definitely better if they can hear it from me, you can jump into their video at any point and go to this little camera icon, and you can leave a video for them or just an image and give a little recording here. So, oh, we want to make sure that we subtract from our total because we have the full perimeter that we're working with, or however you might give them feedback for that. And they can go through and watch that as well. All right, we are going to pivot here to try an activity on our own. So what that is going to look like is, let's jump over to this one. I'm going to share this tab instead, and I will put a link for us in the chat. It's going to be join.snorkl.app, and then we can, I'm so happy that we are thinking that it's great. And then also, yes, I will go over how to change languages. Students can always respond in their native language, but they can also receive feedback in a different language as well. And that is set up on their end, and I can show you how to do that. While we're going to join.snorkl.app, we can enter in KFF662. And once they change their feedback settings, they'll receive feedback in the language that they choose. You will be able to see that in their language that they've chosen and also in English. There's a little translate button. If your students are responding in a language that that is not a language that you speak, say you have students who are coming in and they're speaking Mandarin or Spanish or anything that's maybe not a language that you are akin to, that the closed captions on the bottom when you watch their video will be translated to your native language or how your languages are set within the platform. So there's a lot of different ways that we can look at that, and we'll take a look at that too. I am going to give us 3 minutes, and it's a little quick, but to go to join.snorkl.app, and then we are going to see that there's quite a few different activities to pick from. And when you do that, I encourage you to pick one that it could be totally random. It could be in your content area. It could be something outside of your content area and see like, oh, I'm going to get this wrong and see what the AI says to me. If you like, I always like to do spoon or fork mac and cheese. I have a 5-year-old. It is a divided household on what type of utensil that we use for mac and cheese over here. So if that's one that you want to do as an intro, there's also peanut butter and jelly, which is just how do you make a peanut butter and jelly sandwich? Might be a little bit stricter, so try to be as step-by-step oriented as you can here, or any of these that you would like to choose from. I'm going to start our timer. I'll go on mute. Really encourage you, take the risk. You set yourself on mute and try an activity as you would with your students here.
Joy, did you hit the end of the record button at the bottom? So how it works is once you hit record, you don't have to use the microphone. I just like to, students do, but you can type. You can type, write, send a picture, and you can combine all of them. But so you don't have to record. But when you hit that record button, it starts recording your screen and your voice and everything. So any input you give, no matter what, it'll record it as part of your answer. So it's essentially you're saying start recording my answer in any way I choose.
Yes, thank you, David. So if anyone was having microphone issues, you can still go ahead and click record. If your microphone's not picking up, then you can click on end and review. I know sometimes there's some district settings where if the microphone isn't working, the record button can be a little silly. So if that's happening, we can take a look at that maybe with the tech team too there.
It should be working. I had fussed with it early on when I first discovered Snorkl to get them to whitelist it.
Oh, so you're good to go. Amazing. Awesome. Well, let's go ahead and take a look here. Oh, we have some data about how the impact of Snorkl can really help our students here. But I'd love to hear from you and how that experience went, if it worked for you, and how you feel like your students might do with any activity that you might give them, either content-based or fun-based. Oh, while you're thinking, I can let you know, sometimes students are super eager to dive in, and other times there's a little bit of I like to call it like a comfortability curve, because it is a little bit of a new skill sometimes for some students to go ahead and give that explanation instead of just writing their work and then giving it an answer, because it's really about the whole process. And I will say that the more students snorkel, the more they're excited to snorkel. And they're really eager to get that feedback. And it's just, one, it helps their learning, but two, it helps them understand where they are in the process too. Oh, we already went into the teacher side. So we are going to take a look here at the teacher side from the Snorkl homepage. And that is my students. So here, when we log into Snorkl for the first time, we will see that we have try a sample activity. Though that's the same place that you were just at, where you can see all of those activities. Oh, not sure what happened there. And we also have this find an activity, which is our Snorkl library. So if you click on find an activity, that will take you to a library of curated activities that have already been built and thoroughly tested. If you're like, what if I'm not there and I want to get back? If you go to library, there's also Snorkl library. Again, that's the same place we are right now. We have activities for math, science, reading language arts, social studies, world language, as well as some getting started activities here. I always recommend to have students just dive in with a getting started activity. So we have those just for fun ones, some would you rathers. If we are more of an early elementary, we can grab one of those as well, but just ones that are fun to try and dive in with, that really get students talking and explaining. If you want to try any of them, you can do that. If you would like to edit them, you can take anything in our library and change it up to suit your needs. You can also just assign as it is and you're ready to go. You can assign it and just create a class, and we'll do pretend today. I'll just put today. And then if I create it, I can assign this and go. I can decide, do I want my students to have the ability to have the whiteboard read aloud and translated? Do I want to give them a due date on this? Do I want them to collaborate and be able to see each other's responses, yes or no? And then I can go ahead and assign it and go right to it. Once I'm here, I can share this with my students. We have this share button up in the right-hand corner. share right there. So once we click that, that's where that share icon comes from. If we want, we can do that same process of join.snorkl.app and having students type in that code. Alternatively, we can copy this link and send that to students in our LMS. If we have Google Classroom, we can go ahead and share right to Google Classroom. I don't think it's coming up on your end, but there's a little pop-up that comes up. And if we prefer a QR code, we can go ahead and grab the QR code that way as well. So that's how we can go ahead and assign it to our class and get ready and go with that. If we want to make any changes, we wanted a different, we wanted to take something from our Snorkl library and edit it a little bit. Say, let's jump into a 5th grade math problem right here. Maybe one like this. I can go ahead and say I want to grab this, but this might be a little, I don't want the whole problem. I want to change something. Or maybe I just want to edit anything on any activity at any point. I'm going to click on this add to my library here. And now it's in my library. I can jump right there at the bottom. And it's going to go ahead and go to the top for me. And I can see, okay, I actually don't want my students to do 4 comparisons. I only want these 3. I'm going to take this one out. And when I do that, I can also decide if I want to keep that same name. Sometimes teachers want to change a name. And I can go down here to these instructions. Maybe I want to take them all out, what have you. I'm going to scroll a little bit because I have all the standards there listed. And then we can click on this generate from question button, and it'll regenerate a new answer key for us based off of those changes that we made there. And anytime we generate an answer key, we like to think, allow the AI to do as much work for you as possible, but still be that human checker. Make sure that the answer key that it gives you is something that you agree with. If you want to edit it, add vocab words, you can do that. But it went through and it said, this is a math problem. This is the grade. This is the question. It noticed that that one was taken off here. And this is the answer criteria that it gave. If I want to edit anything, I can do that. I'm ready to go. I can go ahead and confirm. And then when I'm down here, I can triple check it. Maybe I want to make sure that students are using certain signs or naming. I can do that as well. Or we learned to do this by writing numbers one under the next, or based off of how we say the numbers, or different ways we can talk to the AI as if you had a TA that was in your class with you and they were grading. It doesn't need to be anything super fancy, just in plain language, how you would appreciate things to be graded. At the bottom, we have these more options. This is a few just other options that you might want to include. AI feedback language, it's always set to whatever your students have their language set to. The only time, well, and you can change this as it may be. If you have a whole group of students who speak a different language, you can change that. Sometimes in the AP classes for world languages, those would like to be changed. If we are speaking, this is like an AP French class, maybe we want all of our feedback to be in French. Sometimes we might want to take off that correctness score for students, that incorrect and correct. If you still want to see it, you can just take it off completely. And that might be for an essay that you have, or maybe it's just you have a certain group of students who they're really caught up on that score and you just really want them to focus on the feedback. So it's an option. Same with that score of that 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. That can be kept on or taken off as well. When you're ready, you can go ahead and try this as a student, see what does this look like for my own students, and give your response. If you do that and you're ready to go, you can go ahead and assign that to a class that you have. And again, those same settings as before. And if you want, you can just grab this code right here. This is the copy button, or you can jump to the activity and do that share code as well. I'm going to pause really quick before we go into how to create our own activity. Are there any questions on how to take an activity from our library and assign it?
I will just add, if nobody is going to chime in, that I'm glad you're showing how to do that, because I took like image and wrote a math problem from it for like box, and it was able to make it great ones. But I used so many of the jump math problems in there. The content that is already in there is good. It's from, they partner with a company called Jump Math, and those I found that I could find a problem for almost every standard.
That's great. Yes. Oh, thank you, David. And that is also a super important part as well. So you can go ahead, you can keyword search for anything, and you can also standard search. And if you are going based off of your state or any sort of standard set, you can dive in and do it that way as well. And it'll narrow down for you. And our last part here is going to be to create our own activity. So if you don't see yourself, your topic may be represented within Snorkl of exactly what you're looking for. One, please let us know at the bottom. There is a requested here, and we go through that and see if that's something that we can add and prioritize to our library. It's just a quick form. You can explain what you're looking for. And you can also create your own question. So when we're home, we can click on this create an activity button, and it's going to bring us to create an activity. And there's a couple of different ways we can do that. We have the top three are sort of all a very similar setup. We have a whiteboard recording, a whiteboard only, and an audio only. So whiteboard recording gives students that choice of do you want them to draw it, type it, speak it, any and or all of those like we demoed earlier. We also have a whiteboard only, which is where students are not going to have a record button. They're just going to submit their work where it would be either a text box or an image or something like that, or their drawing. And then there's audio only, which is exactly as it sounds. Students wouldn't have any toolbar access. They would only be able to get that verbal recording. Really great for fluency activities, as well as maybe some speaking activities for world language, or if you had any English language learners who are just practicing on that speaking. We also have writing, which I'll show us here at the end. But for today, we will go ahead and just build a really quick problem to see, like, what does this look like from scratch? You can pick whatever you like. I like to give a title. I'll just put math today with our date. And then I'll click on whiteboard recording. If I wanted to change that, I could go ahead and just click on that drop-down caret. And I'll click on the whiteboard to add our question. When I'm here, it looks very similar to that student experience, except you are the teacher, so you can make it all your own. I'm going to just drag in a screenshot that I have over here for us. And let me find it. And then I might resize this here a little bit if I want to, and I'll just click on Done Editing. I'm going to scroll down. All of my instructions are already on the whiteboard there for my students. I'm going to click the big purple button. I'm going to tell the AI generate from question. Go ahead, you tell me what you think the answer key is, and I will edit from there. And then we can put any of our own things that we would like the AI to look for in there, or we can keep it as is. You are the human. I always recommend to double check it and make sure that it is what you're looking for. So yep, that's a math problem, upper elementary here, and this is what we're looking for. Actually, I think that this might be more of a middle school. I want it to grade it as if it were a middle schooler, which it's going to, the feedback that it's going to give is going to be a little bit at a higher level than if it were going to give feedback to an elementary schooler. Here I can go ahead. That is exactly what I think it would be. I really want students to say meters per second. That's very important to me that they know the unit here. So I can add that in if I want to, and I'll go ahead and confirm it. From there, again, I can try it as a student and see what that experience is like, and then I can go ahead and assign that to my class from here. And again, I'll go ahead and assign, maybe I want to turn on some features for my students. And then I can click on go to activity to go right there. I can click the share code here, and then go ahead and share that with them that way. If I would rather see my class altogether, I'm just going to assign a bunch of activities and set my due dates. You can always come back to this classes tab at the top. And when I do that, I can jump into a class and see all of the activities that I've gone ahead and created for that class. I can share them easily with this link right here, this 3 little dot share link. If I need to, I can jump into the activity and, oh my gosh, it's already assigned. Can I make changes? Yes, you can. Go ahead and click on that edit portion right here, and you're back into your editing, and you can go ahead and change anything that's needed within that as well. Questions on this creating an activity process here? Let me jump over to our chat really quick. Oh, great. So at the moment that you share an activity with students and they click on that link, they are automatically rostered to your class. So you don't need to roster them at all. They are just going to go ahead and they'll be added to your class, and you can see their progress that way. Really quickly, if you're looking for like an overview of your progress of how your students are doing overall, you do have those insights into that specific activity. We also have this progress tab when you're in a class before jumping into an activity. That's going to be sort of like a grade book view, if you will, where you can see all of your students down the side, as well as how they're doing over time on different activities. And you can filter this based off sorting that would work best for you if you want their first try, their best try, their most recent, or anything like that. Can you organize them once the students are all in? So organizing the activities, I think, when the students are all in. So if we are within our class here, we can organize them based off of latest response or start date. I think is the two that are, all of these are set to, they have no start date. But if you would like, you can go in and then change up the settings here with a start date and organize them based off of that way as well. Folders are coming soon at the My Library level, and until all of that here, we have I would organize based off of last response, latest response, and then either start or due date with that. Great. Can you organize them? Oh, organize the student into their classes. So they are going to, once they click on a class, then they're automatically in that class. And then if they want to be like within a different class, then they would go ahead and click on the activity link that's shared for a different class that they would have. And if I'm not answering your question, please let me know. Okay. So there are 2 more things that I would love to show us before we leave for today. And one is a writing example here. And what that looks like for our students. And they can go ahead and have a prompt out here, and then they can have sources. Oh, this one only has a couple of sources. Let's see if we have one that has more than one source that we can look at really quickly. Here. And so we'll start new. So students can have their prompt, and then if they have multiple sources that you would like them to read and go ahead and explain between, they can do that here as well. And what that looks like on this end when you're setting up a writing activity, just a little bit different since there isn't a whiteboard. You can go ahead and give the prompt here. You would just type that in or copy paste. And then if you would like them to have any sources, either to read or to look at an example or to see an image, you can click on Add Source and go ahead and either copy or paste an image in there. If you have a PDF that you would like to copy and paste, I just copy then paste that text and it'll all go ahead and come in. And then you can go ahead and also, of course, edit that from there. And again, press that big purple Generate from Question button. The very last thing I would love to show you, because we only have a few more minutes, is what this looks like on the student end. We try to keep it just very basic for students, so there's not a lot going on. They get in, they do your activity. I always recommend to give the activity link so they go straight there. They can also log in to Snorkl, and when they do, they'll see all of their classes here, and then any of the activities within the class and if they've submitted it and what their score is. If your students prefer to get feedback in a language other than English, they can click on their picture or image in the upper right-hand corner and then language settings. When they do that, they can pick whichever language is going to be best for them to get feedback in, and they can toggle between that language and English as well there. So that's just how we can go ahead and change our language settings. My very last thing for you is to take the last few minutes here today. I want to just give you time to explore the teacher tab. And when you do that, you can go, when you go to snorkl.app, there's a login button right here. You can go ahead and log in, find an activity, look around, like what would you like to give your students? I always recommend that getting started here and find something that would be fun for your students and either grab it and go or grab it and edit. But I'm here for you as you go in and you explore and you are creating a class or anything that you might need help with along the way. We also have a YouTube channel with our Snorkl webinars on there. We have a getting started guide I will go ahead and send over, as well as our Snorkl certification course. To find that Snorkl certification course, it's on our homepage here. So if you go to About and then Cert Course, it will take you right there. It's self-paced, like 20-30 minutes, just goes over most of what I went over today, but a little bit more self-paced learning with that. But I am here for you. Please jump in, dive in. We are very excited to have you on board, and I hope you have a great rest of your day.
All right, thank you so much. What I'm going to do right now is I'm going to switch and share my screen to put up the kick-up code. Here's the code if you want to manually enter it, but I am also going to hit share if you want to do the little scan thing. Ta-da, there you go. And thank you, Monique. I appreciate you joining our virtual conference. We started doing them last spring, and it had such good feedback, so we decided to do them in the fall and the spring. So, I'm going to try to get Snorkl dropped into ClassLink and see if we can get some usage and such going in Johnson County, and then reach out to y'all again for the fall, because I hopefully will get some word of mouth and get people using it. It is absolutely one of my favorite tools. So.
Well, thank you, and thanks for inviting me. It's been a pleasure. You all have such great questions. If anything comes up later, please let us know. It's been a pleasure, and we hope you enjoy diving in. All right, thanks. Bye.
Bye. All right, y'all. I'm going to leave that up for another minute, and then I'm going to run and fill up my water bottle and get ready for the next jump into the next session of moderating. If you are unable to get Kick-Up to work and get signed in, you can always email me at the end of the conference. I'm going to go through my email and just fire off the codes to anybody who wasn't able to find them. So, all right.